being recorded.
All right, so we're back in the open session, having been executive session, and we're still, the topic of discussion remains the city's pending resolution regarding the increase in the payment of tax and the establishment of the water franchise fee. An issue before the commission is whether or not to send a communication in the form of a letter from the general manager to the city council regarding the pending actions of the city council regarding the payment of tax and also the water franchise fee. The general manager has proposed that he send a letter which was drafted in discussions with general counsel, which set forth the authority of the Water Line Commission relative to the city charter and also relative to the city council. Discuss those authorities in the letter. General manager's letter would also discuss the payment of tax and the authority of the Water and Light Commission as the officer in charge of the electric system to make findings and enforce any payment to the city of surplus funds out of the electric fund. The letter would also discuss the history of the payment of tax and how that has changed over time, and would seek that the council not take actions that are inconsistent with.
Excuse me, this is Tom Tankersley. I'm back. My connection got messed up. Can people hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Tom. Yes, we can hear you. We're back.
Thank you.
Commissioner Tankersley, we're back in open session, and I was just summarizing the contents of the letter.
Okay, great. I've read the letter. Thank you.
Okay, and so just to put it into this open session record. So in addition, the letter would also discuss the proposed water franchise fee. Again, would make reference to the commission's authority to operate a water system within the public right-of-way under the charter, and would also discuss the commission's authority to do that, and also raise a concern about the proposed transfer of funds from the water fund, which is a restricted fund, into the city's general fund. That is what the letter, as it sort of currently sits today, right now, would state. Is there anything else that any of the commissioners would like to hear addressed in this letter to the city council from the general manager?
Go ahead, Jody.
Thank you, Mayor. I would also ask if it would be appropriate to add additional comments about proposed next steps, so that there's that the conclusion of the letter could possibly outline how the conversations can keep moving forward, and what we would be proposing. Would that be appropriate in the letter?
It's certainly at the discretion of the commission to propose additional next steps. I guess I would ask for input on that.
Ed, go ahead.
I personally think the letter needs to go as written, and I want the commission to know that our staff, 3 or 4 or 5 people, have been meeting weekly for possibly 6 weeks. John, is that, or longer?
It's actually every other week. So,
but it's a long period of time that you've been working, and basically we've now come to this crossroads where there needed to be a decision made because of the meeting, and also the fact the city's trying to build a budget. I think to Jody's point, if we put in there that, we'll file an action or something, if I was sitting on the council, this thing concludes with a threat, I'm thinking, I don't think that's appropriate. I think this is very businesslike and should be left alone. And Jody's comments then could be going to second piece of correspondence is we're here to help in any way we can to try and facilitate financial issues or whatever. But I personally would like to see the letter left alone.
And to Jody's point, I think, what might be appropriate is that we at the commission and at Water and Light are still open to discussion to mitigate the stuff that's in front of us. I mean, I think, the meetings that we've been having have been more of a, it's all about the statement and the ability to do a city services fee. And I think, to my concern, we've gone away from that and gone to what might be seen as an easier way to collect fees. And I would really like to be able to see going through a city services fee, which I think has a more uniform coverage of everyone in the city as compared to the impact it has on a few that are heavy lift. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of where I'm at. John, did you have your hand up? Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to make a comment. It seemed, in our last meeting, it just seemed very odd that we'd been meeting and working those issues, and then it was just a 180 turn, and it seemed like it was just over at that point, which kind of was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, because we were much more detailed in our discussion, and I could see a flip in the mindset that a different discussion or a different direction was being taken.
Yeah, because we had always had the conversation that it really fell to the city to come up with the way they wanted to implement the fee for low income or whatever the issue was, and we just never got that info from the city. And
Scott, I want to clarify when your comment though was related to the city staff that you're with that made those comments, but they would change. It wasn't us, the Water and Light staff, right?
No, it was Jeff, and under the direction of Jeff, Jennifer had been working on in lieu of tax or payment in lieu of tax. Yeah. And again, he's picking that up as a direction from the council that I didn't see. I didn't take that, and I've told Jeff that I didn't see that, but he's gone forward with it. And thinking that as the deadline of the budget's coming, this is their only direction that's available to get things done before the budget cycle starts.
So is there a motion in order then, Sam, at this point to?
Could I ask one more
Jody
question?
okay.
I just have one more question. So Sam, I don't really, I just need to understand when the city council receives this letter, that in no way hinders their ability to continue conversations with Water and Light. This is just information for them to, and the commission's concerns that are outlined. They can still continue to have conversations with John and staff, correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. So the conversations they've had, and I guess my observation is there's been conversations related to proposed franchise fee for months, sort of internal discussions between Water and Light staff and city staff, going well back into last year. So I think more recently there's been very active meetings going on that Mr. Deese described, kind of on a bi-weekly, is that bi-weekly or basis every couple of weeks.
Yes, Sam, I would just say that our conversations have been related to the city service fee, not to the franchise fee or the
right to the city service fee. But no, Commissioner Christensen, this does not foreclose additional discussions about any topic.
But to John's point, we did not set up a follow-up meeting in 2 weeks because of the directional change. I think city staff felt that they had it all taken care of, and this was the way they were going to go, and there was no additional meeting set up that would be a week from today.
It seems to me that that's sort of something that the city council and the city manager would deal with. And I hope, Scott, you will make it clear that our staff is willing to continue discussions.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to make it clear, my understanding of that letter is not that we have decided what we would do if the city asked us to do a pilot. We would actually I think we would have a hearing or certainly a meeting, and we'd consider the factors under the charter and under the statute and make that decision. It's just that our point is, I hope, and I think the letter is clear, but just to make sure that everybody understands, my concern is, or my understanding is, our point is not that we're saying at this point no to the pilot because we haven't done the analysis. We are saying we would make that decision, not the city council.
So back to my question, Sam, is a motion what you're seeking today, up or down on this letter?
Yes, I think it would be appropriate for the commission to make a motion and to essentially direct the general manager to send a letter to the city council as discussed here in this open session, relating to the commission's charter authority, also to the commission's authority to act under the statute relating to the payment in lieu of tax in the electric fund, and also relating to the commission's authority to operate the water system within the city, and also related to the water fund.
I would so moved, and that refers to the letter sent to us at 11:40 on April 8th.
As long as we have some discussion, I'll second the motion. My discussion is, I want to make sure I understood Jody's comment, because I was in the process of changing from one way to get in the meeting or not. Jody, was your idea that we would just add a section that we are willing to, that the city staff remains, or we understand our staff is willing to continue talking to the city about the system, or did you have a more specific?
At this time, I don't have a specific, but it's rather a sentence that says we would continue, or the staff would continue to have discussions about this matter. But if it's more appropriate that it's in another format, I just think that I don't want this letter to be seen as the end of conversations. I do think whatever the next step is, it is a conversation. And I want that to be clear that the staff and the commission, that's our expectation, is that these discussions continue. But I don't want to speak for the entire commission, or maybe that goes in an email with the letter. I don't know, but I'd like that statement somewhere.
Ed, do you have any concerns with just a statement saying that we understand our staff is going to continue meeting with you to discuss moving forward?
Well, you were going, Jody had described it maybe a little bit differently, and my concern was that if anything comes off as a threat, if I was city councilor reading this and we get the last paragraph becomes what I would conceive as a threat, then no, I don't want that. And so Jody's comment about in the email that John might send to Jeff, give you something very simple that says, Jeff, we want you to know we remain open to discussing things with you. But I really think the letter needs to go in its entirety and as it's been written.
I agree that we don't want to be sending, we don't want to sound any more than we have to, like it's a threat. But I'm kind of having trouble understanding how Jody's comment that we understand our staff is willing to continue talking with you is a threat. I thought it's sort of,
no, well,
softens the threat.
This goes back. What you missed was, previously, Sam, you didn't miss this, but Sam said, we'd file That
Oh,
declaratory
wait,
judgment.
Ed, don't talk about executive session, please.
Okay,
No,
the
no,
comments that she made,
no.
I took to be that we would elaborate on what we might be doing, and I said that should be a second piece.
Yeah,
Of,
but so if we can just say what she just said, like one sentence that says, you know, please understand our staff continues to be willing to talk to you about these issues or the city's finance related issues or whatever we want to say. Is if there's a way to say it, I think that's not a threat, right? That's the opposite of a threat.
it could be just in the email as Jody described, rather than the document. That accomplishes the same thing.
Well, I think I agree with Jody on this one, Ed, because I think that the email and the letter may get separated, and as long as and I agree with you completely that it shouldn't be threatening, but if it indicates, which is true, the true thing, which is that our staff continues to be willing to meet with the city staff.
I guess, you know, you bring up an interesting comment. I had not thought about the fact that the entire document may not hit the council. Like that's probably a very good point based on some history. So I'm fine. If you want to modify it, go for it.
And I'll just jump in and say I think it ought to have that non-threatening approach. I think as Ed just realized that maybe not all the information gets to the council in a timely manner, which could separate that. And you know, our whole intent in sending this is to continue the dialogue. We want to come to a point where we can satisfy the needs of both entities. And that is only going to happen through dialogue. If we build a wall, and you know, I could see maybe the letter could be taken, it can be taken either way. And we want it to be taken from a perspective is that we want what's best for this community and we're supportive of what you're trying to do, but it's how you're doing it that we have a concern.
So, Jody, do you want to move to amend the motion?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, why don't we start over then? Jody, do you want to have a motion to amend the letter?
I'd like to have a motion to amend the letter to include a sentence to be crafted by our council, I guess, that reflects Water and Light's staff's commitment to continued conversations around these topics, something to that effect. And maybe even highlighting the partnership, but that feels a little far. So just that the staff is committed to continue to have conversations.
I can certainly do that, and so I'll understand that Commissioner Christensen, if I can take the liberty of telling, understanding that your motion after the earlier motion was withdrawn, that you've moved to authorize the general manager to send a letter to the city council regarding the commission's general authority under the charter, its authority under the payment in lieu of tax statute, and also the authority of the commission to operate its water system within the public right of way and as it relates to transfer of funds from the water fund to the general fund. Together with a statement at the end of the letter that commits the Water and Light staff to continue to work with city staff in conversations on this topic.
Yes.
And Jody, my understanding that your motion involves actually using the draft letter that we looked at earlier, that Sam prepared with that addition to it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I would second that motion.
Okay, and could I just jump in for a moment? I think if it's appropriate, because of the straddling of the two organizations, that I would like to abstain from the vote. But I would like to say that it is, from my perspective, imperative that the letter be sent, because it gives our intent, and it gives a direction of continuing the discussion to get where we need to go. So, I mean, it's almost an oxymoron to say that and say that I'm straddling, but I think it would be better if I just abstain with the comments that I made.
I'd call for the question.
So, Mr. Mayor, if you, I realize you're abstaining from the vote. Maybe you could, if you could ask, it's not going to require a roll call, but maybe just some statement.
So
Right.
those that would be in favor, please just indicate if you would like us to say, send the letter as it has been modified.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Ed, Tom,
Aye.
Jody, and
Aye.
Kathy. Unanimous, 4 with 1 abstention.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, is there any other business to come before us today?
I think we're fine at this particular time.
Okay.
Just really quickly, Jody, Ed, and Kathy, are you going to be available today throughout the day if I were to give you a call?
Scott, this is my crazy week for trust meetings and things like that. And I start my apprenticeship meeting at 10:30, dealing with disciplinary issues with our 600 apprentices. And the
Okay.
meeting then starts at 1. So I'm probably be tied up from 10:30 till probably 2:30 to 3 o'clock.
So could I call you right after?
Call me tonight or whatever, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Or if and it'll be a Zoom call like we're doing right now. So
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, could you make it clear for the record, please, that those calls will have nothing to do with this meeting or water and light business?
Absolutely. It is a personal nature.
Thank you.
Jody, when might be a good time for me to give you a call?
I am available from 10 to 10:50. And then let me just give you a quick available at noon.
Okay.
And then from 2 to 5, I can pick up the call.
Okay, great. And Kathy?
I have to leave the meeting now. Thank you all.
Thanks, Tom.
Good luck,
Great
Tom.
vacation.
Tell
Thanks,
Max hi.
Have fun.
I will.
And
I'm available from noon to 3 today or after 4 o'clock.
okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
And so, Ed, if I were to give you a call just for, it's going to just be maybe 5-ish minutes, or do you need
You
to
can give me a
prepare?
call right away.
Okay.
Okay.
So with that, thank you everyone for your participation, and I will adjourn this special.
Sam and John,
meeting.
thank you for all the hard work and along with your staff and that. So, and commissioners, great
Thank you.
discussion this morning. Thank you.